Dogtown Chapter 24. Supper time. Supper time was the worst. I'd always eaten my supper with the Bessers in the TV room. I wasn't used to eating alone. I missed the blueberry pancake smell of Jessie and the toasted almonds and manila folder smell of Professor Besser. That was back when I hadn't given up hope I'd see Jessie and Professor Besser again. Back then, every footstep sounded like theirs. Every person looked like them. Every time the basement door opened, I was sure it was them. Mostly what I heard was the whistle of the train and the clanking of the railroad crossing gates. I looked out at the long row of empty cages, and I breathed in the bitter ammonia of loneliness. I did all the usual things to keep myself occupied. I scratched my ears, I gnawed my paws, I cleaned my private parts, and I dreamed of my bowl at the Bessers, full of dumplings and drippings, burgers and bacon, chicken bites and big chunks of chili beef. Dogtown kibble tasted like tree bark. I couldn't eat it. I'd just begun chewing the chain link when a small brown mouse made a dash for my dish. I jumped up, my hackles raised. But at the last second, I held my growl. It had been such a long time since I'd been near another creature. I suddenly realized I was happy to share the contents of my kibble bowl. What was the harm? Chapter 25. Mouse. We finally get to meet Mouse. Mouse lived in a safe little hideaway above cage 91. Management didn't know about Mouse's house because she didn't like schlepping down to the basement any more than anybody else did. Mouse wasn't jumpy the way most mice are, and he was exceptionally intelligent. He knew how to read, and he was trilingual. Mouse, human, dog. And besides that, he was crafty. He would get anywhere in Dogtown without being seen. That night, I watched him set about the business of rolling kibble across the cement to the back of the pen. Then, one by one, he'd take them in his mouth, climb the chain link to the knot hole in the corner, and disappear inside. A minute later, he'd appear again, scramble down, retrieve another kibble, and climb back up. He made 5 trips, then nodded his thanks and disappeared into the knothole door. I hadn't eaten much since I'd arrived at Dogtown, but seeing another creature's interest in my dinner made me hungry. I finished all of my kibble that night. Mouse was small, so I figured 5 kibble bits would last the better part of a week. But the next day he was back. That's when I figured out he was feeding a whole lot of other mice up there. I looked forward to Mouse's visits. Every day I would wait for him to come down, take his 5 kibbles, and nod his thank you. And every evening his visit gave me my appetite back. It doesn't sound like much, but Mouse, the train whistles, and the stars in the night sky got me through the long winter in downtown. Imagine that was all he did, that poor thing. Chapter 26. Puppy season. Spring is puppy whelping season, which means when puppies are born. That means lots of puppies are born in Dogtown, or dropped off in wooden crates, or cardboard boxes. Puppies can't be adopted until they're 8 weeks old. So new dog moms were assigned to the basement. Soon puppy yips and yaps, whines and whimpers rang through the air. We had litters of peekapoos, pugapoos, cockapoos, and havapoos. And yet more came. What would management do with all those dogs? Then Buster had another bounce back. I can't remember if that was the time he chewed the teacher's grade book or ate an entire wedding cake. Maybe it was when he peed in the heater vent and the whole house smelled like the side of a fire hydrant all winter long. Anywho, Buster was back and explained to me about the list. Ever wonder what happens to... Oh, I forgot. He talks like that. Ever wonder what happens to the dogs that don't get adopted? He had asked. What was he talking about? The dogs that didn't get adopted just stayed in Dogtown, didn't they? But when I looked over at him, he was doing a trick I'd never seen him do before. He was playing dead. That's when I began to put the pieces of the milk bone together. Chapter 27. Lucky Dog. I mentioned that management liked to play poker, but I don't think I told you how serious they were about it. Every Wednesday after work, all the Dogtown humans sat in the back room with their heads hunched over their cards. There were big stacks of poker chips, pizza, pretzels, and potato chips piled all around. So there I was, thinking I'd been at Dogtown too long. Management had me on the list. I was headed for the great dog park in the sky when something strange happened. The 3 of Hearts showed up on my cage. The card was stuck in the chain link. When management saw it, she came thundering out to my pen, followed by front desk and 3 volunteers. No one could figure out how the 3 of Hearts got from the back room to the basement, or why it was there. On Tuesday, the 3 of Spades appeared in the same place the 3 of Hearts had been. On Wednesday, it was the 3 of Diamonds. By then, there was a real hullabaloo. Front desk girlfriends, management's husband, and a bunch of volunteers and their kids came to see me. "Look at her," a volunteer who smelled like bananas pointed at me. "She's posing by the cards." Okay, that was true. Who doesn't like to feel special? That reminds me of Charlotte's Web, when Charlotte kept writing the words in the web to try to save Wilbur. And so now this mouse has made cards appear on Chance's cage to make him seem special. Doesn't that kind of seem similar? Front desk girlfriend rolled her eyes. "You do know it's not possible for a dog to open her pen, go into the back room, get a deck of cards, find all the 3s, and stick them in the fence, right?" Let us have our fun," front desk whispered. Front desk's girlfriend snorted. "You guys are out of your minds." "Don't you believe in luck?" a tall volunteer with peanut butter breath asked. Front desk girlfriend shook her head. "This had nothing to do with luck." "Well, I could use some good luck," front desk announced. "Hey, I have an idea. We could give Chance the run of the place and spread the luck around." A little girl stuck her sticky fingers through the fence, and I cleaned them off for her. "Everyone could get a lucky lick," she said. Peanut butter breath opened the pen so I could come out. "Friendliest dog here." "Thought it was just me she liked," another volunteer said when I nuzzled her. Peanut butter breath squatted down to pet me. "That's her genius. She makes everyone feel like you're like her favorite." "You can't let her run free," management husband said. "She'll run away." Have you seen her move?" "She's not going anywhere," front desk said. Management ran her hand over her head. "I suppose we could give it a try, but poker night, she sits with me." So that's how I got the run of the place. And a home under the poker table. Lucky for them, lucky for me. Chapter 28, Watchdog. There isn't a dog in the world that doesn't have a little watchdog in her, and I am no exception. So yes, I did know how the cards appeared in the chain link, which is why every supper time I hopped down the stairs to the basement with a mouthful of kibble for Mouse. Here's another thing humans are sadly misguided about. Luck is not a winning hand of cards. Luck is making a new friend. You should write that down. That's a good quote. Luck is not a winning hand of cards. Luck is making a new friend. Chapter 29, Dog Language. All dogs are bilingual. We understand the language our humans speak and our dog language. Mouse, as I mentioned, was trilingual, but without the proper voice box required for speech, Mouse uses sign language to communicate his thoughts. Mouse learned all of this growing up in Dogtown. But Metalhead didn't grow up in Dogtown or anywhere else for that matter. Metal dogs don't get older or wiser. One day you plug them in, that's it. So how come Metalhead spoke dog? He said it was because he paid attention. But I didn't see how a metal dog could learn the way we do. And if they could, then we're in big trouble. If metal dogs become more real, then where would that leave us? Yeah, if they start showing feelings and emotions, that might be bad. Chapter 30, Real Dogs Only. The best days at Dogtown were Reading Buddy days. The Reading Buddy program was designed to help human children get more confident with their reading. But for us, it was so much more. Like I said, most of us Dogtowners got very little cuddling. There were too many dogs and too much for the volunteers to do. But on Reading Buddy days, we got visits from the cutest kids around. We sat in their laps, nuzzled their knees, and listened while books with bright, beautiful pictures were read to us. Even the grouchiest dog in Dogtown wagged his tail on reading buddy days. Mouse loved reading buddies as much as we did. He had dozens of hiding places by the book baskets on Reading Buddy Row, and he had a favorite book called Charlotte's Web. Oh, look at that. I just mentioned that, right? Wonder if that's where Mouse got his idea, right? To save. That's how Mouse learned to read, as a matter of fact. Metal dogs got to be reading buddies too, but few kids wanted to cuddle with a machine or curl up next to an electrical outlet. The kids loved hanging out with real dogs. The parents loved seeing photos of their kid reading to a dog. And management loved taking pictures for the website. Win-win for everyone. And once in a while, a dog got adopted by her reading buddy. It had happened enough times to get a dog's hope up. Even a dog like me. Chapter 31, Reading Buddy Row. Reading Buddy Row had spacious pens, good AC in the summer, and central heat in the winter. It was the nicest section in Dogtown. Every dog wanted to be there. But earning a spot on Reading Buddy Row wasn't easy. Dancing, prancing, howling, growling, or sleeping during story time were all big no-nos. Dogs like Buster couldn't sit still. They wanted to play ball, ball, ball. Other dogs were kicked out for snoring, growling at the villains, or covering their eyes during the scary parts. The kids understood what we were doing, but the grown-ups didn't. Geraldine and I liked to bark to warn the heroes where the villain was hiding. We weren't exactly booted out of reading buddies, but we weren't asked back either. Metal dogs didn't have these problems. Metal dogs sat like fence posts while the kids read to them. Chapter 32, the last one for today. Mr. Molinari was our favorite teacher. He had a biscuit for every dog and a kind word for every student. He understood reading buddies really well, so almost all the kids in Mr. Molinari's class found a reading buddy right away. Often they picked a Jack Russell Terrier named Bear. Bear had an earnest listening expression, ears perked, eyes wide, tail wagging. The kids adored him. I watched Bear to see how it was done, but I could not get the hang of it. The big dogs were also good reading buddies. Some of them anyway. Get a couple of Newfies, those are Newfoundlands, and a Mastiff in there, and you needed a gas mask, if you know what I'm saying. Anywho, there was this one kid, Quinn, who couldn't find a book to read or a dog to read it to. Quinn had hair combed in a direction hair was not meant to go, and glasses that sat crooked on his head. His left shoe was generally untied, and he wore the same shirt every time we saw him. It had a picture of a star on it. Quinn would go up and down Reading Buddy Row searching for a dog. Then he'd take out every book in every basket searching for a story. But he couldn't find neither. By the end of the hour, he'd be sitting in the corner all by himself. Since I was still hopeful management would give me another try at reading buddies, I hopped over to him and gave him a good sniff. He smelled terrific, like buttered toast with a touch of toothpaste. A smell like that, and you'll go far in life. I took an immediate liking to him, so I dug through the book basket until I found a book about toast. I dragged it over to him, then settled back to hear the story. But Quinn didn't touch the book. This was not the one. Then I got another brainstorm. Quinn's shirt had a star on it. I hopped to every basket until I found a book on the solar system. Yeah, I had it now. I'm so clever sometimes. But Quinn had no interest in the book about the solar system than he had in the book about toast. Clearly, it was time to deploy my secret weapon. And we will have to read about his secret weapon next week. Bye.